We're all works in progress. Join me, Jenn Hart, as I wander creator spaces across the U.S. to meet artists, musicians, makers, and creatives of all kinds, to hear their stories and to find out what inspires them. We'll also play a game of 10 questions. Keep track if you like, and we'll count them up at the end. The nice thing is that the only one that can really lose this game by not getting to 10 is me. And we all get to win by meeting some seriously talented people. I can only see good things coming. Getting inside Ashley Zabarte's brain in this episode was beyond fun. It's exciting to meet a young, vibrant woman, also a mother, who is absolutely slaying it at her job. She's making art, she's helping others. What else is there really? I don't know. It did get my wheels turning about all of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes of a creative business. We're all posting our art and our headshots and the magazine covers and the clients we work with. But that's truly the tip of the iceberg. And what looms in the depths of the deep water is an icy boulder 10 times the size of what is seen on the surface. It takes a lot of hands and brains and patience to keep things running. At the beginning, I know at least for me, it was just me, which I do know is how a lot of businesses start. And there were definitely a few times where running between client meetings and design deadlines, trying to squeeze in dinner with my parents or a friend, moving out and selling my house. Oh yeah, because, there's life stuff too. It's not just business, if you're lucky at least. And I thought, how am I ever going to do this? And I still have times when I think that, if I'm being honest. But I remember specifically one time getting into my car, literally running from the front door to my car and jumping in, trying to get to my next meeting and I looked down at myself just to make sure that I had put pants on and that I had shoes on before I peeled out of the driveway, because I truly couldn't remember if I had gotten fully dressed. It's always a bit of a relief to hear stories from other business owners, I'll admit, because it does take me out of my head for a minute and reminds me that we're all just figuring it out, and we need help to do that. At least most of us do. The way Ashley Zabarte has worked with other artists in Las Vegas to give them a leg up really can't be overstated, because having somebody to believe in you and, if you're me, maybe carry an extra set of size 9 skinny jeans in their car for you is so beyond wonderful. And to do it while you're also making your own art, I just can't wait for you to meet her. I am super excited. I was telling Ashley Zabarte, like party, I've learned to remember the name of Haymaker at Ferguson's Downtown. I've been following her and her work and just all the things that she does in the city, and I'm literally sitting in her space talking to her now, so it's super special for me. So nice. Yeah, I mean it. I'm like, it's very cool to see, a Las Vegas artist just not only like thriving, in what you're doing, but you're also giving back so much. So I feel like you kind of don't need an introduction because you've literally woven yourself into the fabric of Las Vegas art community, but I am going to give you a quick one because I want everyone who hasn't experienced your art in your space to get a little taste of who you are. So she's a successful shop owner, an entrepreneur, She's created a maker's market. She's a sculptor, a girl boss extraordinaire, and a fabulous dresser. And I can attest again to this because her top is beautiful.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Miss Ashley Zabarte, like party, welcome.
Thank you.
So we were just talking, I want to get back to kind of how did you end up in this space at the Ferguson's downtown? Like, how did that unfold for you?
This space used to be a podcast studio.
Oh, what?
Yeah. There is a little on-air sign outside. I forgot to mention that earlier.
Oh my gosh.
The best part is I was the last person interviewed on that podcast before the pandemic, and now I have a space in here. Isn't that crazy?
Full circle.
Yeah.
Full circle. It was meant to be.
Right.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
And they were going to take the on-air sign down.
Like,
and I was like, absolutely not.
You're like, this is
history.
Want it. You're like, this is history, and someday it might be a sculpture. So
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
The fact that there's been so much care into preserving and creating this beautiful space where small businesses and artists and creatives, like, we strive for a higher consciousness space.
Right.
That even exists here is pretty incredible.
Kind of miraculous.
I know. To be part of it, it's like very surreal. I'm like, how did I get here? I need to pinch myself.
Well, we're going to talk about that because I want to know that too.
Yeah.
Not that it's surreal to me that you are here, but like just how you got here is going to be really fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, Haymaker started during the pandemic.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. I actually didn't know that.
It's really crazy. So, as an artist, I was used to getting my work out there monthly during pop-ups and markets, but during the pandemic, there was none of that.
Right.
And it's something that I had been working on, kind of on my own, is how do I help other artists? I know that's what I want to do. And then during the pandemic, it just kind of came to me. My old business partner and we started a subscription box. And every month we would curate it and have different local artists inside just to connect artists with the community and get their names out there and help them, give them a little boost. So 2021 rolled around and things were starting to open up. This space that used to be a podcast studio opened up. They wanted it to be a storefront, and Jenn, the founder of Ferguson's Downtown, invited me to come and start Haymaker inside.
Oh my gosh.
And it's really kind of evolved from there. We used to do a monthly curation of local makers, and now I do every 90 days to make sure there's enough time with us. And
of course.
I like to give a lot of care, and so that takes time.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine, like, have you found that there's been a little bit of trial and error necessary? Because this is such a unique business model and also just a unique space, and, like, where you're located at Ferguson's downtown, like, there's so many pieces that are, there's not really, like, a roadmap, really. Like, I feel like you kind of had to, like...
For sure. I mean,
carve your way.
Literally all trial and error. Like, I joke with my family, my boss sucks. She doesn't give me a to-do list. There's no rule book for this. I don't have tasks.
Oh my gosh.
There's
no direction.
No direction. Nobody to boss me around and give me instruction. I mean, it's literally all trial and error.
Oh my gosh. What do you think, like, is there something that you think was like a turning point for you, where like you learned something and you were like, oh, and it clicked and you're like, okay, this is going to work?
So many things. There's so many times that's happened, as far as what customers like to buy and what to have available. I was doing this thing where we were kind of a like finer art gallery, but the artists that I had in here weren't making very much money. And it just wasn't sustainable.
Right.
So finding a way to have like lower priced items that we could sell more of and still support local artists was really important to me. So that was a big pivotal point. Just the layout of the store, knowing that moving things around creates new energy and gets customers really excited.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things that I've learned and had to pivot or refine throughout this process.
Do you get a lot of repeat customers? Like once they've been here, are they like, I'll be back, and then they come back?
We do. We have some really good local art-loving, creative customers. There's many of them, and man, I love each and every one of them because it's so fulfilling to see customers want to come back and find the new artists we have or the new products we're getting. And we work with a lot of local artists, but I also support independent artists from other places too.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I try to do a lot of that and bring cool products to Las Vegas that might not otherwise be available in person.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the independent art community is like such a big, there's so many people doing so many cool things, right?
I'll never run out.
Yeah, you literally
job.
never run out.
No.
Got an endless pool.
And the pandemic, that was the gift that it gave me, was so many people took the leap during that time to create their own, like carve their own space in the art world.
Yeah.
And so really, I'll never, ever run out of clients. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Do you think that was it was just time? Like a gift, kind of a gift of time in a way? Like a lot of people were sort of stuck at home or they were like, laid off for a bit.
Discovered new hobbies at home. I think so many, I hear that from a lot of people. Yeah. And even still people are, and it's so fun when they're like kind of on the edge of starting. They're like, well, I started this hobby, block printing or painting during the pandemic. And I don't know if I'm very good, but do you think I should sell? I'm like, yes, do it.
You can do this.
Do you love making this? Then 1,000% yes.
Yeah. It sounds like you're a big proponent of just like do what you love.
Yeah.
Like if you find that thing that brings you joy, like do it.
Yeah. Because I think I've seen that authenticity flourish. I think people want to support and be around someone who's being authentic to themselves. And if you're doing what you love, what's more authentic than that?
Right, exactly. There's no faking your way through that. When you really love to do something, it's like present on your face, it's present in the piece you're working on, or whatever your discipline is, like whether sometimes it's not a physical piece, if you're a dancer or like something, you can tell.
Performance artist, totally.
It comes through.
So. Yeah, and people are in awe of that.
Yeah, because it's such, I feel like, are we all chasing that? I don't know. Like, is everyone chasing like that joy?
I hope so.
I do too.
If you're not, please start.
Well, and whether it's art or something else, right?
Anything.
Yeah, anything. Like, find your joy and hold on to that. It's like, oh my gosh, I 100% agree with that. I want to talk about some of the pieces you have in here that are yours too. So you have quite a few. It's a mix, but like, can you talk a little bit about like the inspiration for some of these pieces?
Sure. So I started making these funky lamps. Like, I have plant ones, and the inspiration for those kind of came from these other pieces. They're not lamps, but they're kind of these weirdo plant-looking things. And I was looking at them one day, and I don't really know why I made those. I make all sorts of things just kind of to experiment. But I know I love three-dimensional art, and that's where I know that I want to be and work with. So I do woodworking and all sorts of stuff, but I made these weirdo plant things. I like to plant things.
I love that.
I'll speak more eloquently than that. Plant sculptures.
The weirdo plant things.
Yeah. And I was looking at them one day, and I was like, man, those would be really cool as lamps.
Yeah. And they are.
That started my journey, and talk about something really clicking and loving what you do. I love to make lamps.
Oh my gosh.
I am absolutely in love with this process.
That's so cool. What is it about that? Like that you think you've...
I think making something useful too, like really, and tactile. I don't have to refine it all that much. I let it be what it is. I let it have the texture. Even these lines that I've created in these plant lamps, you know, I can tend to be kind of a perfectionist. So I'm going through and I'm drawing these lines on this texture. And I really had to let go of that. And it was so healing.
Oh my gosh.
And now it's one of my favorite processes.
It's cool because they're like abstract, but then, they have these like, sort of like vertical and horizontal lines, like a longitude latitude thing happening. So they're a little bit geometric too. They're very unique. They're very, very cool.
And they all have grow bulbs in them, so you could put them next to your plant.
Oh, that's super cool.
You don't have to keep the grow bulbs, but
that's a fun tie-in though. Like you could put it like it's a little guardian of your succulents or something.
I love them. They're so fun to make.
They're so cute. So you mentioned that you do other types of 3D art. Are you working on anything right now that's outside of the lamps, or are you really focused in that right now?
Yeah, no, so I kind of let the materials speak to me. So all of my lamps are made from otherwise what would be trash. I keep joking, like, how am I going to say this to people? I like to make art from trash. Like, I'm just a garbage collector. But I like the blue lamp there. That's a yogurt container, those big yogurt containers.
Gosh.
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of let this material speak to me. So I started doing these mirrors. I found big pieces of broken mirror.
Okay.
Out in the alleyway over here. I'm not dumpster diving.
I love the recycled nature of that though. And what's so crazy though is like you would never know that. Like I wouldn't have guessed that. Like looking at it, it just
that I'm playing with trash.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I love that you are like the recycled material is just like, first of all, it's very responsible like for the environment.
It feels good.
Yeah, I mean it's very, very cool. Like that adds like a whole nother layer. Like I love that. So when you start to build these, are you kind of like building the base of the sculpture with the recycled materials, and then you layer on top of that the is it clay or
it's a paper clay.
Okay.
And then sometimes I do a sealant too. It depends on the piece. Like the mirrors, these mirrors, I've been loving the process of them. I mean, there's the tile, that might be my only tiled one. That one was...
It's beautiful, though.
It's so gorgeous. I wish someone else could do the tiling for me.
You need an assistant.
Yeah. I'll hire my kids or something.
Yeah.
Put them to work. But the other ones, I layered and layered and layered resin with iridescent mica powder.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I actually didn't know if it was going to work. I wanted like an iridescent, almost like shell.
I was just going to say, it looks like they came from the bottom of the ocean, like a mermaid swum up with like the mirror.
I love it so much. You have no idea how validating that is. And I like sit there and question, is it how I wanted it? But I think it is, and the process is so fun because I'm getting really messy. I have gloves on and just kind of swirling around all of this resin and what's essentially teeny tiny glitter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's got to be really pretty too, like the the like concoction that you're sort of mixing together.
So fun. It's so fun.
How many layers? So do you like do a layer and then you lay another one on top and then it just kind of...
Yeah, so I do it in my garage so the heat helps the resin cure faster.
Thank you, 110 degrees.
Thank you. I know, I don't love being in there doing the work, but I do love that the work dries really fast in the garage. So it's about, of just the resin, it's about 6 or 7 layers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then underneath that is really an armature. So that's what you had asked, is the underneath the paper clay. So yeah, the trash is all the armature.
Oh wow! Okay.
So basically the skeleton.
So even these mirrors,
the mirrors,
built from something recycled.
Yeah. So I have anxiety and I like to order my groceries because I'm scared of the grocery store.
I mean, it makes sense. It's a scary place.
So there's like cardboard or like recycled brown paper that's inside of them. So that's all that is kind of scrunched up.
Oh, wow.
Like brown paper. Or paper that comes with shoes or any kind of packaging I receive, I save every bit of it, even the plastic bags.
That's so cool.
All of it. All those like puffy inserts I scrunch up. Just kind of cover with masking
It's kind of
tape
ironic, honestly, that like these look like they came from the sea, but you've like saved the sea from like this.
Oh my gosh,
this recycled material.
I like that. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, use it. Feel free to use it.
I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a really cool. Did you know that was what you were gonna do, or did you one day just pick up? Like, where did that come from? That idea to use recycled materials, and how did that evolve?
I've always wanted to make sustainable art.
Okay.
It's always been kind of like, I want to do this. How do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can I go about it to where it's fulfilling for me and I'm making beautiful work, or what I consider beautiful? I mean, that's obviously subjective, but
sure, but like you connect to
yes,
it.
work that I connect with and that I love making, but keep it sustainable. And so it's really evolved
over time.
Yeah, and I started making the paper clay, and so that's also ground up recycled paper.
Oh wow. So the clay itself is made of paper too.
So it's basically like paper mache, but I add it's a little bit more to it than like your glue, water, gum paste, paper mixture. That's really like, I went to school for art, so it's like the formal paper mache.
Sure.
You know, so this is technically paper clay.
Okay. Like the more and more I'm like, okay, what else? Like, what else is on this thing? Because I'm like, I'm not thinking this like the sculpture, because I just feel like the more I talk to you, the more I'm like finding like we're unpeeling all these layers. It's like it's very cool. I mean, and super unique. If someone like wanted to, like, was interested in doing this type of art with like sustainable materials, where would you direct them? Like, is there like a first step of like I don't know, like exploration that would be
I mean, I think the first step is dig through your garbage, get some recyclable materials, some bottles, bottle caps, start gluing things together, see what looks cool, throw some paint on it, or even go to the store, get some joint compound and coat that.
Okay. So just really playing with the materials themselves.
Play, that's really what it is play.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so cool. Were you always into sculpture, or like, I like to ask this question because I just find it really interesting. Like, I feel like artists always have like a first memory of where they kind of got that spark from to like make stuff or create or like build, that spark of like joy that comes from that. Do you remember like when that started for you, or what your maybe like a first memory of like when you made something?
Oh, gosh, I've been making stuff as long as I can remember.
From the womb.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a really creative house. My mom's a creative. So my mom has a funny anecdote she'll always tell people about me. I really loved to read as a child. So what I would do is I would check out the 10 books. Back then, I don't know if you still able
max out at the library.
Yeah, I maxed out at the library, but I would want to get like as big novels as I could handle at whatever age group I was. But I would go through all the crafting books and memorize origami instructions, or like kind of do little brain pictures of what I would want to go home and make, and I would go home immediately and make everything that I wanted to make, so then I could spend the rest of the week reading all those books.
You're like, I need to brain dump this out.
Yeah, exactly. I would have like a crazy brain dump of all the things and I was like 8 or 9 doing that. I was taking paper towels and sewing them together and drawing on them and making pillows, stuffing them. Cute. Yeah, it was really fun.
So this goes back a ways.
It goes back a little ways, like playing with garbage. Yeah.
Your love affair with garbage. It's not garbage though. It's like turned into something beautiful. I feel like that's where the magic is. It's like you've been able to like look at something that someone might consider trash and be able to reimagine it as something that's not trash. Like it's like a beautiful piece of art that you absolutely would never guess in a million years that was built out of something you pulled from a trash can. So
thank you. I mean, I hope not. That's one of my favorite things about making art is when someone looks at it and wonders what it's made of. I love that, making, finding that like juxtaposition in that process of this, making this beautiful thing out of trash, and then the result being, what? This is fascinating. Like people being fascinated by it and really trying to work out in their minds what it's made of.
Like I've been doing since I got
like I love that like little bit of trickery, I guess.
It's so good.
I think it's so magical. It's really fun.
There's something really fun about the material transforming too, like the physical material itself is going from one thing to the next. It's almost like a little sciencey in a way, like you're,
experimental. I mean, art is one big experiment.
Yeah. For sure. So I love the story about the paper towels. It's so cute. I'm like obsessed with that. I'm also thinking that I'm trying to think back. The library story connected with me. I used to read a lot too as a kid, and so I'm remembering just the oodles of books, carrying those home from the library and trying to read them as fast as I could so I could go back and get more because you just couldn't take, they only let you take 10. So many. Yeah. But I was wondering, because I definitely didn't memorize the crafting. So do you pull that out for like party tricks and stuff, or like can you still do the origami?
I can. I can make an origami balloon.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been able to do that since I was a kid.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah.
That might be the only one. But I can make you an origami balloon.
I mean, I will absolutely take the origami.
Like you can actually like blow it up. I mean, I'm literally going to have to make it for you.
I feel like, I'm going to need that. I am that blows my mind. So do you use that skill in other ways? Like, do you find like the photographic memory?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because that's basically what that is. You're like looking at something and then carrying it off, right? Like,
right. I mean, I later learned that was like a skill useful for other areas of my life. I mean, I think that's why I can run a business, have an employee, and make art, and manage that, and a market.
You just have your memory is like a steel trap. You're able to like sort of,
so
keep
far so good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I want to talk about the mentoring piece of the business. So like, not only are you like running this beautiful space and you're inviting other artists in and they're getting to sell that, you're helping them sell the stuff in the space, but you're also mentoring them so that they can grow their businesses. Yes. So what is that like? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have different, literally just
the collective of
Yes.
Kingmaker.
The board.
Yeah. Coming at ya.
The board of one.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, so I have 3 different packages that the artist can choose from.
Okay.
And I like to make things really accessible because I don't want anyone to feel like, I want people to be able to feel comfortable doing it.
Of course.
I don't want anyone to feel like it's going to be this huge financial burden. So I have a lot of different ways to even pay for that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, depending on who it is, I give a pretty good amount of options.
Yeah.
So the packages range from just helping them with pricing, and we also include market testing in that too.
Oh wow, okay.
So what I'll do,
that's super powerful.
Yeah, it's very much needed, and I try to tell the artists, when people walk in here because it's a boutique, they expect to pay a lot more than what they're paying when you're popping up right outside. You could be outside at a table, but they will pay double for it.
There's a perception.
Right.
Sure.
So it's really important to know like what range you can kind of sell things for.
Yeah.
So I work on everything from pricing to really personalized, like big endeavors.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I had mentioned with Pepper, Pepper Palm, she's going to do a paint your own pottery
Which is
kit.
so cute and awesome.
So cute, and her process is so special and unique. I am in awe of what she does. It's really cool. So she paints on pottery, but it won't come off. It's wild.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's like this painting process, so that's also really accessible to people. It's not like this glazed process where you have to go and fire it in a kiln.
Oh, that's really, so she's like essentially like created a process for painting on pottery that doesn't ever like get off, like it doesn't rain off or like sun off or whatever.
No, you can't even scratch it off.
Oh wow.
No,
that's insane. That's so cool though.
On that, and then we're also working on art licensing because she does digital work.
Oh cool. Okay.
So I've been researching art licensing opportunities for her, which has also been a great learning experience for me.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I feel like, so like, do you find yourself like learning with them sometimes? Like you're,
definitely.
because you're almost like, you become like a kind of a temporary partner in a way. Like you're helping them like do some of the work that they, sometimes you just need an extra pair of hands in addition to all the knowledge that you already have. So that's really cool that you're not only able and willing to do that, but like that it sounds like helping multiple artists do this. So I don't know where you're finding that time for that. That's
you know what? I keep a little notebook or use my notes app and my phone, and I will wake up and think of one of my artists and write little notes about them, or I'll be on Instagram and see what another artist is doing and thinking like, this would be a really good idea for one of my clients. Or trying to connect them with people I think would share their same energy.
Right. It sounds like you're just very like it's very personal for you. Like not you almost like you're looking at their work the same way you look at your own work. Like it's all part of the same thing, they're like a piece, they're an extension of your work.
For a while they're with me and beyond. I have a lot of clients that I even though I should set better boundaries with myself, I will still look for opportunities for them. I have one.
Yeah, it's hard to turn that off, I'm sure.
Yeah, she left a year ago and I'm still like, this would be great for you. Here's a great opportunity. Sending her art licensing stuff and grants. And
are all the artists that are in here also mentoring, or are they separate kind of programs?
Well, so I only have a couple who are they're on consignment, and so there's no real mentoring. And then a few I buy wholesale from them.
Gotcha.
So but then everyone who's in the program is being mentored, and they're almost done. We'll be done at the end of August, and I'll be very sad. I'm always sad. It's always bittersweet.
A little bittersweet, yeah.
Because I get new people, and that's really fun, but I always miss them and working with them.
Do you find like you have kind of like this little army now of like baby birds out there like flying?
I mean, I hope so, and I hope they think of me like that too. I hope so.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been really able to like, give them a kickstart to what I feel like most artists and business owners have to like, you figure out kind of trial and error, like you were saying with, your shop, like just instead of spending the time and energy figuring out one, kind of that trial and error, you're sort of giving them a little bit of a leg up, which is, it's like so generous, honestly, and really cool because, and it's hard to find, finding a mentor is so important. I've always believed that because you got to find the smartest person in the room and like be humble enough to shadow them and like figure out, what they're doing to make it work, because you feel like you learn the most from doing that, right?
Definitely. And I think you're right about saving them from that trial and error. It really, I'm doing what I wish was available to me when I started. I'm just trying to give all of that. Even with the markets, I'm trying to create something that and run it in a way that I wish I had.
Yeah,
too.
because those have all been...
there have been a lot of amazing markets,
Sure.
but this one is exactly what I would want, what I would have wanted, especially.
What makes this one different, that for people who haven't experienced it than the others that you either had available to you, or that you maybe a few that are still around?
Sure. So one thing there are a couple of things that I do that have just been taking, kind of what already exists and is built in our community and refining it, especially for makers. So my markets are 100% handmade. Everything has to be handmade. I don't like to overcrowd my markets. I like to give a lot of space, because overcrowding and having too many vendors thins out the customer base a little bit. So I want everyone to leave as successful as possible. Yeah. So I think layout too, I limit the industries. So if someone makes jewelry, I only allow so many of that type of jewelry.
So they're not all right next to each other,
trying
or
to there compete. Aren't too many, silversmiths. I only allow one at my markets, because those are higher end pieces that take a long time. And then jewelry is a big one.
There's
it's
a lot
big
of
one, but I try to sift through and make sure that it's truly fair. And I don't ever want to feel like, I don't want ever, oh my gosh, I'm mixing up my words. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're being undercut or not seen.
Oh, of course.
As a maker.
I mean, and isn't that what we all want, right? Not just as artists, but as people, just to be seen and to have what we're doing be acknowledged and appreciated. So it sounds like a very thoughtful way to build a market.
It's just so important. For their success.
For sure.
For their own good.
You're like, it's going to be fine, guys.
It's hard to say no to people, though.
Yeah. Well, because you're like a giver, so you want to help everyone. You're like, please, everyone can come.
I do try to switch out. If I try to remember, this person hasn't. They get first dibs this time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just gonna ask that if they you got there before me. That's good. Yeah.
It's evolved from the beginning, and now it's a little bit easier to curate and map out the vendors. It kind of comes naturally to me.
Oh, okay.
I take requests from them too. If they're vibing with a certain spot, then why not?
That's cool.
I'm not a person who says no very often. I try not to.
Maybe a no but every once in a while.
Yeah. Unless it's like crossing a personal boundary, of course. But if it's possible and it's not going to hurt anyone, let's do it.
Okay. Well, I mean, so this is another question that I'm going to change gears for a second.
Sure.
I want to kind of go back to your creating your art. And I like to ask this question because I'm just kind of fascinated. It's kind of a selfish question. I'm just fascinated.
You got to do what you love,
right?
For you.
Thank you. I'm fascinated in just how other artist brains work and how they, I don't know, sort of compute. And so I like to ask about kind of that artist flow state. So we talked about being a kid and you just started playing with materials, and then I think as you grow to be an adult, that kind of goes into that kind of that flow state. That's where you're kind of chasing it as an artist. So
for sure,
I don't know, where how does that feel for you, or where do you find kind of you can fall into that easily when working?
Well, it doesn't come easily because I have 2 kids, and so they are majorly my priority. Before the shop, before my art, they come first. If they, and carpooling and driving across town for school. So there's all of that. So it's difficult to get into a flow state, but that's where my happiness lies. So I try my best to get into it. I really kind of experiment with different things right now. I'm loving this tip that I got from another local artist. I actually went to school with him.
Lay it on us.
Yeah. So what he does, and I'm just starting to do it this week, but I'm hoping that it works. So he does kind of this funny little thing. He gets like roller balls, like essential oil roller balls. He gets them from Michael at Mike's Recovery Computer.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
Michael is the best.
Plug.
The best. Like the most creative, kindest person I know.
He's very sweet.
I mean, I'm just so blessed to be in this community with him. But he gets one of those and he smells it first, and that's kind of uses it as his trigger to get into work and the flow state. I was doing this thing where I put on crappy reality TV.
Okay. I mean,
I would like it to be something that like a higher conscious process. So I'm trying this new thing.
Okay.
And we'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck. I hope that works.
Thank you.
It's interesting because you almost have to like pull yourself out of reality. It's like yanking yourself out of like the day-to-day stuff and like actually just finding that quiet to be able to really work.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes it's the process of making something itself that puts me into that flow state. If I have
100%.
If I have a shape in mind and I start building the armature of that space, that shape in this space, and I'm flowing with that, and then it's like coming out as I wanted it to and as I envisioned, and the balance is there, because sometimes it doesn't, you know, shapes in our brains won't work. You know, physics and all of that stuff.
Physics.
Phooey.
Whatever.
Yeah. So sometimes it's just that is like bringing something in my brain to fruition is really, that's really what puts me into the flow state. Yeah. Finishing projects, not so much. I've got about 10 in my studio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So and is that like an editing process for you, or is it the finished? Okay. So,
because sometimes the physics don't work, and I like to make a lot of work that plays with balance. I like kinetic art, and although my art doesn't move, I like it to look like it has movement. Yeah. So there are a lot of works that are imbalanced, and I don't have. I'm trying to figure that out and play with that a little bit. But sometimes I prioritize. Yes, how to hack physics. But sometimes I need to take a break and let those shapes that are in my brain come out. I've been making like catch-all trays that look like TV dinners this week. I don't love painting, but hand painting those has been really fun.
Oh, that's fun. Okay.
Yeah.
What type of like motif are you putting on them, the TV trays?
So I'm doing like a microwavable, or like I'm doing really like the old ones that you used to have to put in the oven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm doing like the silver kind of foil.
Ooh, fun.
Like they're really fun, and I'm doing, all of them are the same meal. So it's meatloaf, mashed potatoes, the brownie, because that was always my favorite part as a kid. And then I I just love peas and carrots. I actually used to own a vegan catering business called Peas and Carrots.
How
it's like
cute.
a little homage to that.
Oh, I love that.
So it's like a tray of peas, a tray of carrots, sliced carrots, and they're my favorite things. It's one of those things where sometimes you make art and you hope people will receive it and love it. This one, I don't give a darn.
It's for you.
I love it. And my mom is very tickled by it too.
Oh my gosh.
That's all I care.
Yeah, when you said the brownie, I'm like, I remember that little square brownie.
Did you know? I mean, was it the worst brownie ever?
Sure, but it was cute
wonderful.
and wonderful, and it had a penguin on the front.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I feel like that brought up in my mind just like, because I feel like as we've been talking to artists doing the podcast, it comes out naturally like, oh yeah, I've been working on this project, and it's just for me though. Like I'm not, or I found time to do this workshop, but I'm not gonna like sell it or anything. It was just for me, and I think that's so. Do you find like doing work like that does help just kind of give you your brain like a reset? It's almost like setting a reset button. Like you can kind of stop trying to like force some of those things to work that you are maybe not working in your studio, and then come do something that's like not necessarily related, and that sort of just gives you a blank slate to work with again.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a brain break.
Yeah.
It really is. And also I have the experience and knowledge to know that those things that we think won't do well, or the things that we say, this is just for me, I don't care if anybody likes it. I know enough, and I've had enough experience with that to know that there will be a customer base that will connect with that, probably because of the love that you put into it.
That's a good point. Like you're putting your whole passion into that, so there's going to be somebody that
it's that authenticity we talked about.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. You were a pleasure to talk to.
Thank
and
you. So were you. It was fun.
Thanks. I'm sad that, again, like, I'm always sad when it's over. I'm finding, like, I'm just like, oh, I want to talk forever. But I want to make sure that we make time to talk about what is coming up next for Haymaker and for you.
So I just got into this art show in LA. It's actually a worldwide art show. It's called the Other Art Fair.
Congratulations. That's so
Thank
exciting.
you. I really didn't think I was going to get in. But I was like, oh, maybe they don't have enough sculptors.
I feel like you never think you're going to get in, though, right? Like, it's just like, even at this level where you're, like, selling out of your own shop and, like, helping other artists, it's still that, like, imposter syndrome that creeps in, right?
1,000%. The imposter syndrome will never go away. But that's what happens when you're creative and you're, like, forging this new path for yourself and doing something that you don't really have guidance on.
Sure. So is the best way for people to connect with you on Instagram then, or your website?
So for the shop, it's Haymaker Co. It's Hey Maker Co. And then my own art on Instagram is ashleysabarte.art.
Cute. Okay. So this is the kind of the last question, and I hate it that it's the last one, but I would love for this to be like a kind of a artist tag. So is there an artist here in Vegas that you would love to see on the podcast, and maybe another one that you just love, like that you've been following, that from anywhere that we could reach out to and maybe try to get them on?
Yeah, so I mentioned a friend of mine who's doing the smell thing.
Yeah.
His name's Brian Martinez.
Okay.
We went to art school together. He's like one of the kindest people. He's really fun to talk to. I think I would love to listen to his podcast because his process and his art, I have like, I think 4 of his pieces in my house. I just love his work.
And is he a painter, a sculptor?
Yeah, so he's a painter. Okay. He does lots of murals around town.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Love murals. Yeah.
That was a hard one. Local artists is really hard because I know so many.
I know.
I just so happened to see him on Saturday, and he's the first one I thought
Popped into your head.
So I'm going with that.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'll tag someone else in that's on your list.
He will. Yeah.
And then is there anybody that you just follow in general that you love?
Yeah, so there's, I had to give that one a really good think because most of the artists I connect with and engage with on Instagram are locals.
Yeah.
But I love, I'm obsessed with her TikTok and I follow her on Instagram too. It's Shop Julie Peach.
Okay.
So she does these really cool block prints. Ooh, I love her color palette. I love her product photography. She also does ceramics too, in the same like very like block printy, but like a little bit Matisse, like organic patterns.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'll definitely look.
The colors are like really saturated and beautiful. I could look at her work all day. I really could. And she's out in Denver, I believe.
Oh, okay, very cool. I also love Denver, so that would be fun. One of the things that's been really cool about this is like I feel like I've been just like oh cool, now I have all these artists to check out. And whether they want to be on or not, I can still now I can stalk their work, you know?
Just see it and find cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, honestly, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here. I know that you're a very busy lady. You have a lot going on. So
thank you for having me.
Yeah,
really.
No, it's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see what's next for Haymaker. If you were following along and counted up my questions, head over to TikTok at the Artist 10 Podcast and comment how many you think I got. I will not guarantee there'll be 10, but we will follow this week with a total. And if you're an artist, designer, or creative, please leave us a question in the same comment and we'll pick a few to read and answer on the show next time. Even the best things must come to an end, but don't worry, we'll be back and with more inspo, know-how, and creative collabs. In the meantime, tag along with us on Instagram at Hart House Creative or TikTok at The Artist 10 Podcast. Please click that follow button and subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you feed your brain from. Thanks for listening. I'm Jenn Hart. Keep creating, Hartists. Learn more about this episode's featured artist, Ashley Zabarte, to catch a weekly workshop or book a private craft party like tufting, screen printing, lamp sculpting, photography, just to name a few. You can visit Instagram at HaymakerCo and at ashleysabarte.art. Monthly workshop calendar and event dates for the Makers Market are posted on Instagram as well. The next one is in May, so make sure you're paying attention, and more surprises to be announced, so don't forget to hit that follow button for both accounts. See our show notes for more ways to connect. This episode of the Artist 10 podcast was recorded at Haymaker in the Ferguson, downtown Las Vegas. The show was produced by Hart House Creative. Photos and video content were captured by Shahab Zargari at Shahab Zargari on Instagram.